Hey everybody, Taz from Critical Thinking Anarchist here, and I do apologize. I wanted to do this video last week. I was super sick. Turns out I got COVID. I had crazy head cold. My head felt like it was swimming all week long. I barely got out any of the videos that I did. So much better this week. It's been a couple of busy days, of course, catching up from the stuff that I couldn't do last week. So I do apologize again, but we'll get into it. So we're going to be reviewing X-Men 97 episodes 3 and 4 here. So when last we left off episode 2, and this is spoilers, of course, so anybody who hasn't watched these, just let you know that. But so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, everything else will be spoilers. So when we last left episode 2, in case you don't remember, Jean Grey came into the X-Men compound. Now, at first, I thought this was Mystique, and it turns out it's not. So Jean Grey comes in. So meanwhile, Jean is already there, and they're going, we don't know what's going on. Or actually, Beast finds out that this Jean Grey is the real Jean Grey. She's the one that's however old she is, while this Jean Grey is not. She is a younger version at the very least. Turns out she is a clone created by Mr. Sinister. This could have been a really cool episode if it wasn't for the fact that it's only an episode long. Everything happens so short. And this is the biggest problem we have right now with condensed seasons is these things are right now a lot of them are about 8 episodes long, these condensed seasons. So they're 8 episodes long, which means you can either do one of two things. You can either tell a lot of story in a short amount of time, or a series of short stories in the same amount of time. And that's kind of what they're doing. They're condensing everything down. If you remember the original X-Men, a lot of times there wasn't a lot of just standalone episodes. There was a collection of like mini arcs that were 2 and 3 episodes long, sometimes 6, 8, 10 episodes long. But very rarely did it, was a storyline contained within a single episode. A lot of times everything kind of bled over into additional episodes. So for this, it's one of those where it's like, it feels so short and so rushed that, again, this is part of why the show is forgettable. That it's in the style, but it's not quite the same. So Jean, so the clone Jean is sitting there, and she goes and tries to get Scott, and Scott's like, "I'm not quite defending you." So she goes, sits with Nathan, and then it turns out, this is where Beast kind of figures it out. He's like, "Oh crap, she's a creation of Mr. Sinister," and so Mr. Sinister comes up. And I like the style of Mr. Sinister. He looked menacing. He sounded menacing. He looked amazing. But again, not much happened. So there's like a bunch of internal struggle. Gambit and Logan and Morph are all kind of messing around with each other. And they kind of allude to things, but nothing really happens. Again, there's an illusion. Oh, Logan, you're sitting in the shower naked. Oh, this is all clone Jean Grey messing with people. There's all this stuff going on in their heads. And then the real Jean comes along and she's like, "Enough!" And that's it. And so ends the whatever the heck is going on there. And then it comes out, "I am the Goblin Queen." And I had to look this up. Apparently this was a quick run in one of the X-Men's, that she is this is kind of it was there, and then they kind of retconned it further to expand the storyline. That that the other Jean Grey ended up being a clone and became the Goblin Queen, etc., etc. So I guess this is a thing in there. I don't. Again, I'm not a I'm not a comic person, so I don't know how much, how big of a storyline this was. And then Scott's, sitting there like, I can't even protect my own son because the clone Jean Grey took their son with Mr. Sinister. And then you got Magneto and like, we'll lead the strikes, and then you got Mr. Sinister doing this stuff. It's all you do, just ask the professor, da 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 da. Clone Jean is like, oh, that's sweet that you're, to Magneto, that you got this magnetic power, but I can manipulate everything and anything. So she kind of knocks him out. Logan is left with the original Jean, trying to get her back. And then she does this again. Oh, I used to be this. And she goes into Goblin Queen's life, and they're like, who knows which of us is which, because they share most of the same memories and everything. And she kind of helps her split off what she was a part of, what clone Jean was a part of, and what real Jean was a part of. And remember, she was her mother. She is the mother of Nathan, and a husband or wife to Scott. And so Nathan is sitting in the stew, and Sinister, because Sinister wants to use him because he's now the most powerful child in existence, provided that he goes through some sort of chemical bath, and they do whatever they're going to do. Well, as a result, now Nathan is sick with a virus, because the virus is meant to infect him, and then he was going to do some other things to make him immortal, and then use his immortality to complete Mr. Sinister's own immortality. So second Jean, Goblin Queen, becomes I still think it's so stupid with the whole Goblin Queen. I can't remember her name. Yeah, so we'll go with this. Take care, Jean. Call me Madeline Pryor. That's who it is, Madeline Pryor. Again, this is all forgettable for me. So yeah, so this is the whole beginning. This is now the beginning of Madeline Pryor, apparently. And then it goes into Storm. Storm hanging out with Umberto. Forge. So on to episode 4. And it's mostly, again, right. See, I forget all these things. Jubilee's birthday, Jubilee's 18th birthday. So they have some fun in the simulator, and then they get caught up in going to the television planet, which has become the video game planet. And Jubilee is like a big deal there, or whatever. Who knows? It all happens so quick. It's so forgettable. There's nothing really that there's nothing really that cares about anything. Again, the original was was part of a giant story arc, so it was meaningful when they went there. They just feel like they have no stakes, so they spend the first half with this, and nothing happens. She goes there, she wins because she has help. Okay, and then it's Storm and Forge, and they talk about life and their problems. And he says it was his fault. He created the gun that did this to her, but he thinks he can help fix her. And so he blasts her with whatever, and she can't. She doesn't get control over the elements, so obviously it didn't work. And then big scary owl hawk thing bites her, brings her in. That's the end. Yeah. Like I keep saying it. I keep saying it. This show is so forgettable. It has cool ideas, but everything happens so quick, and there are no stakes. You don't feel like anything is important, and that's always been my problem with this. Again, I keep saying it over and over and again. I'll keep saying it over and over until it's all done. It's in the style of, but it's not. It is not X-Men 96. 92 to 96. It is not that show. So I wish that they had the ability to do this properly. I think it could have been good, but I think with the way that that they have to do everything, there's just no way to do this and get it right. Especially with only 8 episodes. If you had 20 to 24 episodes or 26 episodes, like you did in the old days, I'd be much more optimistic. I would say, you know what, you can really get some things done. You can really tell some good stories, because you can tell they had good ideas in mind, but the execution is just not right. Everything is just so quick. Everything's resolved instantly. The only thing that's not resolved is Storm. Which, don't get me wrong, that's fine, but once again, the problem is you're sacrificing the immediate story for this longer form story. Well, but all you're doing is telling the longer form story in 2 to 5 minute intervals. It's not like you're seeing a lot of progression. It's just that you're seeing 2 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 2 minutes here, 5 minutes here. So again, it's not like you feel like anything is really going on. It's not like you feel like anything is progressing. If you missed an episode, you don't feel like you've missed anything, because it's only been 2 minutes. And you're sacrificing your main storyline for this 2 minutes that's going to play out over 8 episodes. So it would almost be better just having it be its own episode. Like, oh yeah, so what's been going on with Storm, towards the end, and Storm goes, well, let me tell you. So I went through blah 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 blah, and now I got my powers back, and that's why I'm here, and let's kick ass. But anyway, I don't know. Again, that's my personal take on it. It's not as bad as I originally was kind of saying. They have the right ideas. They have okay solid writing, like okay to solid writing. It's not bad writing by any means. But as I'm watching it more, it's just more like that you can't get into it, because there's no meat to any of the stories. But anyway, maybe you guys feel different. So if you do, please let me know in the comments below. Of course, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I appreciate it. You guys have been boosting me up so much, and hopefully we can do more on this. And I will see you in the next one.